What's up, class? Welcome back. Nearing the end of this book, so we're just going to kind of push through and power through before everything wraps up with the Edmode and online teaching. I noticed some of you did the quizzes. I'll be marking those quizzes very soon. Don't worry about that. You'll be getting your grades for those very soon. Now we're going to move straight into chapter 9 and 10, and we're going to talk about setting as usual. By the way, it's very hot now, so keep yourself hydrated, keep yourself cool as much as you can. So, as usual, I'm going to start off with reading the summary of the chapters and then go straight into talking about the setting. Now, chapter 9. Toward the end of the summer, Rami and Son built a shop. They reaped a bountiful crop of yams that Son took to the city. He would be gone for 3 days. Rami was told to eat with the Hilchas. Son came back with goods that he had bought in the city, and they organized a shop. They made handbills that advertised the opening of the shop and delivered them to the villagers who snickered and laughed. They had a crowd that night. Some bought and some simply satisfied their curiosity. The consensus from the crowd was that Jake had jacked up his prices. People tried to buy on credit. Others wanted the store to be expanded to have more room to hang out. But all of these requests were denied. Their clientele grew and Jake's morale was taking a beating. Son had a clearance sale where he did not lower the prices. He in fact raised some. And people came in droves and bought the goods in the store. Son revealed that he did not get a great profit because he had sold the goods almost at cost in order to get buyers. Christmas was reflected in the river bottom shop in the form of many buyers, some of whom did it in secrecy, fearing Jake's wrath. Son had a diminished status, but he was respected. They made a lot of money on Christmas Eve, so they locked away their savings and made their way to the village. Son gave Rami money to buy a gift for Donna Ray, and he took Mrs. Hilcher for a nightcap in one of Jake's bars. Jake also went to the village and spotted Son in his bar. It was initially a tense encounter, but Son behaved like a gentleman and diffused the situation. Early, Rami rode marble to his mother's house early Christmas morning in order to deliver his siblings and mother's gifts. He received a welcoming reception and was asked to have Christmas breakfast, but he rejected the offer. He went home and opened presents with his father, and, to their surprise, Debbie gave Son a gift. Rami and... Sorry. Yes. Debbie gave Son a gift. Rami and Son had Christmas dinner with the Hilchers. Betty gave Son permission to use their land to plant yam. And Arlene and Brad came to visit on New Year's Day. Reverend Ledbetter also visited and Son rebuffed him. Son reacted this way because the Reverend was very friendly when things were good for Son, but ignored him when things were bad. Keep it hydrated. Now, as we notice, we get into the point of the story where most of the major things that would have happened, especially the court case and Ma trying to take Rami from Son has already happened. So we kind of have the fall in action that is happening. And what we're seeing is that Son has grown into a better person. Son has grown as a person and he has improved. You know what I mean? So this is actually showing a little bit of triumph from Son that we're happy to see. Now, when we look on the setting, we kind of have to look on how his surroundings have now changed and he now has more control over his surroundings. The setting that he was in before, he was at Robin Hill, got sent down to River Bottom after losing everything, and River Bottom was seen as a decline. He has now turned River Bottom into a place of profit, into a place of growth, where the growth of River Bottom has shown the growth in Son's personality. And this is one of those triumphant stories where you see someone persevering against all odds. A lot of things were put in front of Son. A lot of things were expected that would hurt Son, but he has actually become triumphant. And we're noticing that when other things come to him, like for example that incident in the bar, Son is cool about it and calm about it, and he doesn't make that bother him. Let's look on the setting. First, at the start of Building, chapter 9 is called Building, which is a very interesting and good chapter title. As we've seen earlier in the book, a lot of these chapter titles tend to have double meanings behind it. He's building a shop, but Son is also building himself. He himself is becoming a better person. Towards the end of summer, I helped father build an annex onto our house. Out in the front. A shop, he said tersely. That, of course, jolted me. A shop? A shop. He nodded. I'm going to show them, Rami. Yes, sir. Take that, Jake. He's just a herter. Now, obviously, we're seeing the motivation behind why he's building his shop. And that's obviously the fact that Jake has taken everything from him. And now with this new beginning, Son is throwing it back at the universe, saying, listen, you can take everything, but I am going to build from the ground up. And after building from the ground up, Son actually has now become a stronger person. He has become a better man. And this is actually very, very, very triumphant for Son. Now, the next quote I want to look on is when they speak about Jake's shop itself. It says, Jake had 2 well-stocked shops, which he called emporiums, and just about everybody bought from him. To be more exact, they had credits there. He had them tied up securely, and didn't that mean he could set the prices without any protests, or hold them almost in severity? Then it was that I saw father's idea of having a shop. He meant to fight Jake on 2 fronts, the agricultural and the merchandising. He was bent on giving competition and in opening the people's eyes. So, we're looking on how established Jake already is and the goals that Son has. So when we look on the actual setting, we look on how Son wants to build his shop, how Son wants to build this area, and how Son wants to become even bigger. Right? Now, another quote that I want to use where he says, Good father, I said, fighting. He was so pleased. Small though it was, I looked at the shop with new interest and respect. I walked about in it, feeling the shelves solid under my fingers, and I dusted them lovingly. Father came back on Friday morning, and what a pile of goods he carried, bales of cloths, remnants of it too. And in the gayest and brightest of colors, he brought combs, brushes, pocket mirrors, things for girls and women, items for boys, men, groceries. So what we notice is happening is that Son isn't even limiting himself to just the goods. He's bringing merchandise, he's bringing things. He's opening up the type of people that will come to the shop. People want more than just market goods. They want more than just farm goods. So what he's doing, he's making his shop become a destination. And that is why we look at the setting. The setting has to do with the surroundings. It has to do with the area. It has to do with the people. And what he's doing, he's building the different type of people that would be there. The next quote that is in chapter 10 itself now. Chapter 10 is called Christmas. So with Christmas, you could tell it was coming. You could feel it in a brisker north wind, which seemed to blow away what early year stuffiness was around. You could feel it in other ways too, not only physically, but spiritually. You felt gayer, which means happier, purer, kinder, but most of all you could see it in flowers, some of which appeared only then, and in painted houses and yards dressed up with whitewashed garden stones, and in the shops which sparkled with the season's trappings. You could see it in our river bottom shop in many colored balloons and in hams hanging behind them, in cheese, little girls and boys coming there to buy icing, sugar and vanilla. So, when we talk about the setting of a story, we don't just talk about the location. Oh, this is in Jamaica. Oh, this is in the hills. Oh, this is about the life that the actual area has. And what we're noticing is the growth of this setting. How this setting has moved from just a place where they live to now a place with an identity. Where this river bottom shop has become an identity of strength, an identity of victory. This is Son's victory song, which happens to be the shop itself. The last quote that we're going to do for setting, right, was when he speaks about the same idea of victory, when he speaks about Reverend Ledbetter, he speaks about the fact that river bottom, which was seen as a decline, especially being at the bottom near the river, has now become a destination of people of status, where the same reverend that was his friend when he was up there didn't go and visit him when he first moved to River Bottom because he was seen as lonely, but now his success has changed the identity of the area. His success has made River Bottom seem like a better destination, like a better place. And now, when we move to the next class, we're going to talk about how characters are now responding to Sun Sun, how Sun Sun himself has grown, and how he, as a character, is an example of his surroundings and his setting. All right? So, class, I hope you guys have been reading and keeping up. And chapter 9 and chapter 9 and 10, I would suggest you read all the way to the end of the book, which is chapter 11. And next class, we're going to focus on the characters. We're going to look on how these characters have grown and kind of what we've learned from them before we reach that final chapter to see the finale of the story. All right? Stay safe. Until next class, big up yourself.